I know you have a reluctance to that lady we call Memory Lane.
I'm not a big look back kind of person.
But with 25 years, what better reason than this?
Okay. I'm all for it.
And I just want to lay the ground. This is a no spin zone.
Okay.
Okay.
No spin.
No spin.
The name of this program is
Best show on WFMU is back for another Tuesday night installment.
What's the best show on the station?
FMU, you're on the air.
Is this me?
Hey, Tom, it's Purple Shirt.
I'm Julie.
Where are you calling from, Julie?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Hey, Tom, it's Zach, California.
Then I would blink the cane and I would slash you in the face.
I have literally been in 1,000 fights.
Sports talk.
They have Rick Maloney at the Wawa I go to.
Hi, Tom, it's Sam Cedar calling.
Hey, it's Steinberg. You are creepy and I'm hanging up on you. Boing.
Hey, it's Greg Barron from Smirnoff Ice.
Who is Quad P?
Power pop pop pop.
It's Nathan Fielder.
I'm so excited.
You can hear it.
Hello, Scharpling.
You know what? It's Spike, right?
That's right.
Paycheck in Toronto.
This is your old friend Stevie Blue.
Tom, it's Julie Klausner.
Julie Klaus.
Who's this?
ED.
Oh, hey, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Hey, man, it's Bryce.
Tent don't stand without the tent pole. It's a tent pole show.
Hey, this is Ted Leo.
This is Paul F. Tompkins.
Hey, it's Marky Ramone. Corey Harris. It's Gregulator.
Lori.
It's Wally.
Wally Wacky Man.
Hey, from Knoxville.
Super caller.
Officer Tom.
Hey, it's Pat Knoxville. Hey, Dave, it's Larry.
Get off my phone. I don't care.
Called Mithamine.
What?
Yes, too good and too smart to be a member of the Kiss Nation.
I have absolutely no idea who this is.
It's Gene Simmons. Get on your knees.
Hey, it's Tim.
Eric Wareheim joining.
Hey, Tom, it's the H-Man. Pat from Jersey City.
Dollar?
Frederick.
The disenfranchised have a home now. I'm the hero of the disenfranchised.
Yeah, you sound like a jerk. Why don't you go shop for a coffee?
What are your addictions?
Shoe-based pornography.
Ew.
What? Don't judge.
I don't know if Billy Crystal has apologized yet.
No food, no water, no toilets.
No turlets. What are you, Archie Bunker? Mr. Moonlight.
I'm 63 years cool and I'm still doing it.
You're doing what?
It.
Oh, God.
I'm making out every night.
Well, good luck with that.
So for those that don't know, I've been a fan of The Best Show for a long time. For those who don't know, explain the world really quickly that you've set up with this show.
Well, it's a call-in radio show we do every Tuesday night, and I take regular calls from actual people, and then John calls every week and is a different weird person who yells at me and frustrates me and usually threatens to kill me at the end.
Yeah.
Can I intern for you?
No, you can't.
Please?
No.
You're going to get killed then.
Oh,
you're being all sarcastic, aren't you?
you're being all unfunny.
You're going to get all murdered.
You're gonna smash. Oh, yeah, I'd love to see you try.
Oh, I'm going to take that microphone. I'm going to launch it right up.
What?
You know what your problem's gonna be?
What?
A derby down your throat, you creep.
You said.
I'm going to steal all your underwear.
Oh, you're sick.
You're not going to have any underwear.
It's Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, yeah. Shut your mouth, cause it's Tom's turn to talk, yeah. Because it's the best show on WFMU, the best show on WFMU, the best show on WFMU, the best show on WFMU.
Across these 25 years,
Sure.
you've built a universe. Real and fictional characters. Philly Boy Roy, AP Mike, Skag Winesack, Wally Wacky Man,
Yeah.
Petey, Cade in DC.
Cade, indeed. You covered 25 years of people listening to the show and calling in.
Ah, yes. Oh, hello. I didn't see you come in. Please have a seat. My name is Tom Scharpling. I'm the foremost expert and authority on Aquatine Hunger Force.
I always wanted to do comedy stuff. That was very appealing to me,
to want to be a part of that, but you don't. When you live in New Jersey and you don't have any family who's in like the creative arts, whatever you want to call it, everybody's like it's a middle class family of working people. You just go get a job. I was the first person to go to college in my family. So it just seemed like something I wanted to do, but it seemed like it was very far away, and I had no idea how to get there. But I also loved music too, and the music thing seemed to be more accessible in a certain way because you could just go see bands. Because I also didn't want to be on stage. That was another part. I was not looking to be a comedy performer. I was not interested in stand-up or improv or any of that stuff. I was comfortable writing and kind of just not being in front of the camera. So I started doing a fanzine in the early 90s called 18-Wheeler. That was like a music fanzine, but I also was finding ways to make it funny and strike a balance of music but with a lighter attitude toward things. Like definitely trying to be funny, because there were some fanzines that had great musical taste and tried to be funny and were not funny. There were fanzines that had great musical taste and were mean, but there were a couple that were actually funny. Conflict was the big one. That was a fanzine that Gerard Cosloy, who started Matador Records, and he did that fanzine for a very long time. So that was kind of like, it's like, this guy's legitimately funny and he has the best taste in music. Like that was kind of like, you can do both at the same time. So the fanzine was like an entry point to
thing that you could be like, I'm this.
I can express myself. Yeah, exactly. It was a way to be funny while doing something about something else that I was legitimately interested in. I wasn't saying like, here's my comedy magazine. Mm-hmm. Here's a music fanzine. And it's so people will be like, oh, this is funny. There's funny stuff. So that was an early way in.
And but there's this gap in your biography that I personally don't know, where it's like you work in a music store and you like have this desire to write and you do this zine, and then it's like you're with the generation of like comedy greats.
I mean, how did I get there?
From the 90s. Yeah, it's like that's the mysterious part to me.
Okay, well, I can get you there. I'm out of high school. The idea of going off to college was still a relatively new concept generationally.
And one that is ending.
It seems like it's wrapping out now, and it's kind of going to go back to how it was before, where the people with a lot of money will go to college and other people kind of get to work. Yeah. There's a spill in aisle 6. You just start to see, when you're in New Jersey, you start going into New York more and more and more to go to shows. And you just, between bands, you're standing out on the sidewalk talking to people. And now at least I had something I could mention that I did. It was a way I could introduce myself to a band or have some point of identification in terms of, I'm not just here to watch a band. It's like, oh, I do my own thing too. I'm not in a band, but I do have my own thing. Met Phil Morrison, one of my lifelong best friends, who Phil directed a ton of amazing music videos. He directed, he also was like, he directed the movie Junebug eventually in the early 2000s, which was a amazing, impressive movie. A ton of amazing commercials, like all the Mac PC commercials, the Apple ones. He did all of those.
Max PC, I think it was. Max.
I think it was, okay.
I'm referencing your own joke.
I know, but I know it.
Look, it's that guy who was there tonight.
The guy who was there tonight.
Max!
Max, where?
The other guy.
The other guy. John Hunt. Oh,
excuse me.
John Hunt.
Sometimes I hear these things, Brett, and I'm like, well, I don't know what that is. And then I'm like, I think that's me.
That's you.
Yeah. Talking to Phil and a couple other people would have been my connection to film, things like that. So Phil did the amazing commercials. Meet Phil's friend Dave Dornberg, who, rest in peace, Dave Dornberg. Phil and Dave talked about this guy. You're going to get along so well with this guy. Oh my God, I can't believe you haven't met Joe yet. You haven't met Joe. Wait till you meet Joe. Usually when people talk like that, when you meet the person, you're just like, what? Joe turns out Joe grew up 20 minutes.
Joe Pesci.
Joe Ventura.
Oh, that's right.
Not Joe Pesci.
I thought that Joe Pesci like weirdly had like
he did have a New Jersey connection.
Yeah.
Joe is living in North Carolina now, Chapel Hill, and he's in a giant house where he has a couple roommates, one of which is a guy named Jon Wurster, who's drumming, who just became Superchunk's drummer.
Well, listen, kids, don't stage dive anymore because this might happen to you. Look at that.
Oh my God, that is disgusting.
Isn't that terrible?
We were with Mudhoney for most of it.
Did you have to party hardy with them?
We hardly partied with them.
That is to say, we partied hardly, but hard.
It was hard when we were partying. The parts we did party were very hardy.
I didn't know him yet. The time I met John was at a Superchunk show. But the world was kind of, you see how the world is kind of like interconnected? Like, is it making more sense in terms of the characters are lining up and
John was, from what I gather, he's referenced in like Dead Milkmen shows. He's doing his own version of that.
John was on his own journey, and he went from Philadelphia to Chapel Hill and was kind of carving out his own path, which was, there's peaks and valleys, and his road to all this stuff as well, where he's in a band that gets signed to a major label. The label immediately loses interest in them. So now there's like a lost year with that. I get to know John. I start going down to Chapel Hill to hang out. Phil is directing music videos for Superchunk. I go check those out. He's doing a video for Juliana Hatfield. And he's like, why don't you, everybody come and be in it. And it's a video he shot it in New York, where everybody was in basically like a workout class, and Juliana Hatfield is the mean instructor. Have you seen this video?
And you pop up in it.
Yeah.
And then the Yola Tango one too.
Yola Tango one, but that's Phil directed that. That's the scene. Now I'm getting closer to it. Joe starts writing for MTV, writing promos for MTV. Getting closer. He's like one of my best friends is writing things, and they're getting filmed. And
these are the ones with Dennis Leary in black and white.
They were not exactly those, but yeah. It's not those. Peyton Reed was also one of the friends in the in that group. He's a Chapel Hill guy. Met him through Phil, me, and Joe, and Phil, and Dave. John, whenever he would be in New York, we would go to a Monday night show called Eating It, which was on Ludlow.
Ludlow, yeah.
Halfway down that first block, there was a club.
Luna Lounge.
Yeah. Halfway down that first block. Everybody was at Eating It. So now I'm obsessed with comedy and music equally. I always was from a very young age. Now I'm getting to experience it and see it and be a part of it as like somebody very close to it. It's not the it's not like the watching Saturday Night Live on TV and it's just like, who knows what that is? I'm a million miles from whatever that is. Now I'm going to this comedy show. You line up, you get a seat in it, and you're seeing Mark Maron every week. Mark was there every single week doing his thing. Seeing him, some weeks he'd go up and talk. It'd be hilarious. Other times he'd go up and talk, it would be the darkest, most vicious thing ever, because he was using it as a platform, which was very educational to see somebody using that space for whatever they wanted to use it for. He's not just going up and it's joke. He's going up and he's being so ridiculously honest and owning every emotion that he has. He's not denying his emotions for the sake of professionalism. Or Mark Maron's there, Janine Garofalo's there, John Benjamin's there. That's how I get to know John Benjamin. That's how I get to know John Glazer. That's how I get to know Sam Cedar. People like Dave Chappelle go up and he pops in and does a thing. So I'm really getting in that. And now you just hang out afterwards and you talk to comedians in the bar afterwards. Just chit chat, nothing, The Upright Citizens Brigade comes to New York City. They're going up at Eating It.
And this is Amy Poehler,
Matt Besser, Matt Walsh, the core members. But then other people are also from their scene. You start to meet because they go do their thing. Now, here's John Glazer. Here's Brian Stack. Here's people working on. Here's Brian McCann. You're starting to meet the people. Tommy Blotcha and
these are like Conan writers.
These are Conan writers because they're coming in because those are their Chicago friends. Mm-hmm. Then you meet out Adam McKay. He's an SNL writer. You start meeting other people like that. The world is just kind of, I'm just in it.
Dudes aplenty.
Dudes aplenty. I was in the Conan bit. Dudes aplenty. It was Andy Blitz.
Do you have raisin and poppy seed? Is that possible? Because you have poppy seed and you have raisin, but I don't know if you have raisin and poppy seed.
We got whatever's here.
I mean, you got whatever. Come on, don't you take any pride in your job?
What's all the flat?
What's that?
Some guys have a question.
Yeah, I'm having a bagel, okay? Why don't you flap back to the little deep blue sea and I'll be in a second, okay?
I mean, a cinnamon and poppy seed bagel. How hard is it?
How many dudes are there? How many dudes are plenty? What is it?
5.
There are 5.
5.
Okay, my bad. I thought it was 4. Let's go. Okay.
Okay, guys, yeah, enjoy it, guys. And ladies, just all over you guys. Yeah. Arms, big circles. Hey, keep it going.
I really have no control over what bagels get put out on the table. And it's my job kind of just to watch the table.
Put me in that. I was in at least two Conan things.
Mm-hmm. What's the other
XFL Survivor.
You guys are the last 6 people watching the XFL. And soon, one of you will be the last person watching the XFL. The last person listening to Jesse Ventura excitedly talk about a game between the Las Vegas Outlaws and the Orlando Rage. The very last person now.
I'm still working at a music store. I'm still grinding it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, for years, I was just at the bottom. And I was just kind of trying to get somewhere.
Are you doing anything like sloppily like, hey, Adam, just I did work on this SNL packet.
No, I did not do that. I didn't have the guts to do that, honestly. I felt being outside of New York City, not living in New York City, there was always a gulf between me and everybody else.
Yeah.
I went home 45 minutes, 55 minutes, whatever, away from those people. I would have to go in to see those people.
Mm-hmm. And they're hanging out after the show.
They're hanging out on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're just doing. And they're all working at 30 Rock in one capacity,
Mm-hmm.
So they're just in their own world. I'm in my world. The only thing is my world was kind of cobbled together and didn't entirely make sense in a conventional way.
Are you sticking it out the night? Or are you leaving early? Because you gotta.
Oh, I went home so late to so many things. I would just stay. I would go the distance on things and then just you just go through the Holland Tunnel and the sun's coming up, and
I mean, again, this is a parallel that
you're
I
stopping.
shared the exact
You stop.
same thing.
You're driving out of New York. I would stop. There was a bagel place, a 24-hour bagel place in like down by the Holland Tunnel. You just get some bagels, something to eat, drive through the tunnel, go home. So yeah, it was just like I was burning the candle both ends.
This is the WFMU building. And that's the podiatry center and the chiropractic center. They pay some nice rent, which has made our new building possible.
WFMU is a listener-supported free-form radio station. We're a nonprofit organization, and our DJs are all volunteers.
We've been on the air for 52 years.
It's about 30,000 LPs and probably somewhere around that on CD as well.
FMU's record library is one of the great music resources in the world.
I'm getting a show on WFMU at this point. I'm getting involved in WFMU, the station. I'm volunteering there.
WFMU, for historical context, started in 1956
at Uppsala College. Yes,
58. It became
East Orange, New Jersey,
free-form, vanguard.
There was a college in East Orange, New Jersey, Uppsala College. This college was in free fall for decades. It was like a slow collapse of this college. Somehow the radio station became insanely good. It's just it's free form, and it's not just college kids doing it. That was the difference. It was honestly the best people who were, if you like garage rock, the best person who in America is doing a garage rock thing on the station. That this guy, the Hound, is doing it. My ex is a DJ at WFMU, Terry. I start to do little fill-in shows around, now we're talking 1994, because I get a time slot on the overnights, doing the overnights 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., and then I would drive to work. I would go home, shower, go right back to work, work from 10 a.m. to 5:30. So these were days where I was pulling, God knows, you can get away with that stuff when you're in your early 20s.
Sure, yeah.
The second I start doing my first overnight, I just start talking more and more than I ever thought I would. I thought I was going to play music. I had every set of music planned out. Pile of records. 6 records. 6 records would cover a half hour.
You remember what you played in that first show?
I can remember a couple things. I know I played Sandy Bull, is a kind of a guitarist from the late 60s and 70s who's kind of like a very vibey, acoustic, trippy guy. I know I played Unrest, the band Unrest. Just those two I remember playing. Pink Fairies, I played, one of my favorite bands. So I start talking more every week. Talk more. Suddenly I'm taking calls. Like, how do I take calls in this thing? There's a weird box that's on top of a speaker. You put it in front of you. You figure out the button combination to press to put a caller on the air. So the show is like slowly becoming this like music thing where I'm very into talking also on it. The talk rate, Andy Breckman had a show on WFMU, which again, this is how this all happens.
He was a former SNL writer.
Andy Breckman, former SNL writer, former David Letterman writer. At that point, screen feature writer. And
he's the guy that wrote the ending for Rat Race where Smash Mouth comes out. And
the
cast crowd surfs to Smash Mouth.
They crowd surfs to Smash Mouth at one point.
He also wrote the rest of the movie. But
he wrote all of it. Yeah.
And that show started in 1994, you said?
94. It might have started late 93 into 94. It probably started around whenever they do new schedules on WFMU, which maybe was like March or something. Because I remember I did a show and left and then put on the radio when I got in the car and they said the wife of O.J. Simpson was found murdered in front of their house and nobody knows where O.J. is right now.
And then you had to go on the air.
I had to testify.
Talk to America.
He was hiding in the studio with me. No,
So this is my mistake. We're celebrating 37 years of the best show.
No, the best show did not start until 2000.
Okay.
Those were me learning. That was me learning how to do radio.
Mm-hmm.
The period from 94 until 99. John would come up because he'd be doing band stuff all the time, or he'd come up to just hang out. We started talking about the call that became Rock Rotten Rule.
Do I have Ronald Calantal on the line?
Hello.
Hello, is this Mr. Calantal?
Yes, it is.
Okay, welcome to WFMU.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. You have a new book out, which is called Rock, Rot, and Rule,
yes.
which seems to be getting a lot of attention.
Is that November 1997?
It's right behind you, though.
Wow. November 19th.
Yeah.
1997.
You know, everyone was putting in their 2 cents worth as to whether they thought something was good or not. And It Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana came on.
Mm-hmm. Which song was that?
It Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really just perplexed and intrigued by the difference of opinions that were happening at that time. And, some said, oh, no, this rules. Some said it rocks. I just had the idea of putting a book together that would be sort of the ultimate argument settler.
God, thank Christ I taped it. Like, I put a brand new tape in, taped it, it flipped, so when it got to 45 minutes, I got the rest of it, and so there was like 30 seconds missing. Thankfully, at home, Terry had taped it, so she was able to fill that 30 seconds. We were able to assemble the whole thing.
Who do you consider you and your, for lack of a better term, buddies, think rot?
Hanson, No Doubt, Hootie, Leanne Rimes, Kansas, Mary J. Blige, Bowie, Jewel.
David Bowie?
Yeah.
So he rots.
Yeah.
Now, what makes him not rock or rule?
Too many changes.
Too many? What?
He doesn't. He's always changing, and for the same reason I put Neil Young in there.
It was just meant to wind people up. It was meant to make us laugh first. Mm-hmm. We weren't doing it as a prank. Firstly, that was a very awesome side effect of it. Was that people who are very serious, because WFMU, the one thing, there's people who they know music, they love music. There is a deficit of humor at with the W. They're just not very. It's not a comedy based thing at that time.
It has had become a huge reputation. Like Lou Reed loved it. Kurt Cobain loved it. And,
exactly.
Serious music.
It was a
fans.
real station. Yeah, it was just like. It was for the heavy hitters. Sonic Youth were involved, would come and do things, and it was just really it was the epicenter of a lot of things in that scene at that time. So we do this thing. Callers are calling up. They're arguing with John. He's rolling with each person. It's
okay. And did you say that Madness invented ska? Is that what you said? Yes. Did I hear you right? Yes. Okay.
Ska goes back to the early '60s, I believe, from Jamaica, London.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
I think you have a lack of rock history, dude. You don't even know Neil Young prior to 1989?
No.
And you're writing a book?
Yes.
I have to also second the fact that, I'm sorry, I'm a big fan of Madness.
I am too.
But the thing is, they did not invent ska. If you ask Suggs...
I totally disagree.
If you ask Suggs, and if you ever look in the back...
I'm not going to ask any street thugs what they think of
No, Suggs, the lead singer.
And I'm playing the straight man, and I'm keeping things on target, and the two of us, it just immediately was like a puzzle clicking together. And I mean, I had no idea that at that point that would have been how much of my life was that. That's 28 years then, right? 28 years. Who would have known that 28 years later, Jesus Christ, I'm still doing the same thing with the same guy, and it's still laughing doing it. And I think it's still really funny, the stuff John and I do. And
it is.
It just but it has kind of like grown with us for that much time. It's something else. But at that point, it was one funny call on one night. Then we did another one called Conventions Inc. And we just started handing it out to everybody. And that thing got so much traction with comedy people and with band people. It was...
Here's where you name names. Who do you know had that tape or shared that tape?
David Cross had it. Amy Poehler had it. Guided by Voices had it. It was on the Strangers with Candy wrote it on the chalkboard. It made a reference to it in the background. Like, it covered a lot of ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it really. And this is like, so now the guy from Mr. Show, which was still an active show at this point, likes this thing. I would go see ASCAT. And by now, UCB, they had their own theater. They had the UCB theater, which at one point they were doing the show on like 16th Street. They would do their live shows on 16th Street above the, at like a second floor theater. They did a show called Saigon Suicide Squad, which is very funny.
And you're in the TV version of that.
I'm in the TV version. I would also, Phil started directing Upright Citizen Brigade. I started going to the set, watching how it's made, and just seeing how this stuff comes together, getting the bug even more now. And yeah, just really getting into it and really just getting closer and closer and closer. So I'm seeing ASCAT, which is the long form improv thing that they were doing like on a Sunday night. They all worked on SNL. Sunday they went and had fun doing ASCAT. Seeing them do something in the purest form, the way they were, it was like you're allowed, it was like giving permission to do things on your own terms. Because they were doing a thing that made them laugh. And I went back to the station a few years. Terry was okay at that point. I go back and I say, what if I do a show that's rock, rock, and roll every week? It'll be a music show, but it'll have comedy in it too. And Jon Wurster will be a part of it. Station's like, okay, we'll give October 2000. New schedule starts. You're on the new schedule, 9 to 11 p.m. at that point. Station was a 2-hour show because the time slots are predetermined. Like every show on the weekdays are 9 to 11, and then it became 9 to 12 a year later. And it's like, well, what should I call the show? And it's like, and I mean, the piece of paper is it's in the collage that's a part of the opening of the Best Show now. And it's just one of those little mini flip notebooks. Wrote out the Best Show on WFMU, which was, as I've said before, incredible. It was a joke title, which the joke has been lost in a lot of ways because I was
you weren't really thinking about SEO when you came up with the Best Show.
Yeah, but also I was really low on the ladder at WFMU. I was not doing a show that had the nerve to call themselves the Best Show. People hated it at the station. People at the station were legitimately mad at me. Some people were.
This is the best show on WFMU. I'm not saying it's the most popular show on WFMU, because the best stuff and the most popular stuff don't always intersect. And I'm not saying I'm the best host on WFMU, although I am.
People were. Some people thought it was funny. Other people were like, that's not funny.
Name names.
I'm not going to name names, Brett.
This is where you got to shoot hard.
No, it's not. It's you shoot hard. You name names.
All right.
Actually, don't. No. So I started doing this show.
I'll play a song for you. Yes, I will dedicate a song to you.
It smells like Teen Spirit?
Team?
Yeah.
I think it's Teen Spirit.
I don't think so.
Todd, on this one, now I am all 100% sure it's not Team Spirit, and it is Teen Spirit.
And every week just becomes like, it just was like for 2 years, it was not popular. It just really wasn't. But John and I are doing these calls. We're taping the calls. We're saving the calls. Those 2 years were, I guess, like a good time for us to like figure out how to do this without everybody looking at us. Like it was still like a growing period. And then after 2 years, the show started to get a little more popular. And then as soon as that happened, I just leaned as hard into that thing as you could lean into something.
Let's go back to the phones. FMU, you're on the air.
Yes.
Should we reveal the ending? What do you think? To Unbreakable, do you want to hear the ending or not?
What is Unbreakable?
It's a Bruce Willis movie. It's a movie that was directed by M. Night Shyamalan, who's the guy who did the Sixth Sense last year.
Sir, I don't have time for this trifle.
Okay. Well, why were you calling then, sir?
I think I speak for all of your listening audience when I say play some barbershop quartet music.
Yes, I just played some rock music, and that's kind of more what we play here. So I don't think, and I'm going to get on any.
Why don't you cue up a little cut by Gentleman's Agreement, perhaps Mother's Golden Locks? Let me take a moment to pause and take a sip of my elixir.
You got to get that stuff off to you. That is the dumbest crap I ever heard, and you're turning off a really devoted FMU listener. So this barbershop guy has got to go, okay?
Barbershop lives forever in the hearts of the young and old.
Now Andy Breckman, who I quit the music store. At one point, I'm working as his assistant, but not like making coffee and doing stuff like that. Basically, Andy would have a feature job. I would go sit with him while he was writing a script. He'd bounce ideas off me. I would laugh, pitch my own things. That turned out to be
what if it were Smash Mouth?
That's what I said. What if it's not the Beatles? What if it's Smash Mouth? Okay, we had the Beatles lined up, but we'll go with Smash Mouth. And he would say, well, there's this show. I'm working on a TV show. He never had done a scripted TV show at that point. He worked on SNL and worked on Letterman. It's like, if it goes, you'll be the first person hired on it. And that show was Monk, and it took a year for it to go. Because it was at ABC, then it's in USA, and it's just like, this thing's never going to happen. But then it happens. And now in 2001, I have a TV job. This is what I wanted the whole time. One way or another, I got there. And I got the job fair and square. It took much longer than I wish it did. But it took what it took. So now I'm in one of my early 30s at that point, getting my first TV job finally. But it happened. And that was just my ticket to just be in the creative process of making a TV show. And Andy's doing a show on WFMU still. We're writing the show in New Jersey. I'm doing my show on Tuesday nights. He's doing his show on Wednesday at 6:00. So he gets it. He's like, go do your show. Like, it wasn't something where I got to explain to my boss, well, I'm still going to do this radio show. No, you're not doing it. It's like, no, we're involved in the station. He's like, yeah, do your show. I get it. You leave a half hour early on Tuesdays, whatever. So that was a gift. Just that in and of itself, not having to give up the show because I got a writing job. And we just got better at doing the best show because we're doing it and it's getting more popular and it's growing. Each year it kept growing. And then when 2005 came around and the internet showed up, and there was podcasting. I mean, when podcasting could happen, you could take an episode of a thing and archive it and properly podcast it. Because 2000, you could have it as there was an archive, but you'd have to listen on the
real player file.
On the real player file on the website. But when that thing could get podcast, and I was just like, we're doing it as a podcast. We'll cut the music out of the beginning, put it as a podcast. Then it was just like, boom. Then it's just like, because it was one of the first podcasts.
What's the podcast scene?
It's Ricky Gervais doing his thing where he made fun of that troubled man. that very, that sad guy, Carl. It was that.
Yeah.
It was Jimmy Pardo, Never Not Funny, maybe. Scott Aukerman had a radio show, but not a podcast yet for comedy.
Death Ray Radio.
Yeah. It was. I was.
Those
one of the first.
You're the Mount Rushmore. You and those. Three
you know
guys.
what? I'm not going to argue with you. I was there early. 2005. Check who else was there in 2005. It's a shorter list than you'd think.
And then you guys all started hanging out.
And Jesse Thorne also was and Jesse Thorne was actually a big help to me with making it a podcast.
And he was doing his college radio show.
He was doing a college radio show, but he had aspirations to do something beyond that. And he started doing his thing, and I gave him a lot of credit. He figured he saw where he wanted to go. He carved that thing out, and he was very helpful in terms of helping me figure out how to do it as a podcast.
WFMU, you're on the air.
It sounds like a lot of craziness going on up there.
Yeah, a lot of craziness on the phones. How are you tonight?
Hey, it's Philly Boy Roy.
Hey, Philly Boy Roy, how are you tonight?
Hey, how come you ain't talking about them there Jets?
About the what?
The Jets.
How come I'm not talking about the Jets?
Yeah, they went down in flames, didn't they?
Yeah, the Jets did lose this past weekend.
Yeah, they could learn a thing or two from them Eagles.
You do have a bit of an accent.
Oh, I don't think so.
You don't think you have a Philadelphia accent?
No.
Wait, what? You don't?
No.
Say that again?
No. What? I had a little bit of trouble this year.
Mm-hmm.
I had too many yinglings and I broke my pelvis.
I just wanted to tell Philly, look, he sounds like he has a cheesesteak stuck up him somewhere. He talks like a pansy. He's making my night horrible just listening to him.
Oh, you sound hot.
Yes?
You should get her number and maybe she and I can go out for some cheesesteaks and some shoe fly pie.
Do you remember like a moment where you were like, oh, that was a good show?
Yeah, no, there was a point when the characters were coming fast and furious where John and I were just going like the gorge.
He's a gentleman who believes the Fonz was based on him.
Yes, he's 63 years old, and he's still a hoodlum.
Yeah.
And so, yes, he claims that Gary Marshall, who created Happy Days, based the Fonz on him, and he called into Tom's show to basically to say that and also to hype a self-help book or a book he wrote for teenagers.
Right.
Called The Real Life Fonzie's Guide to Real Life.
Yeah.
So.
And the Gorge thinks his big complaint about Fonzie is not as dark as the Gorge was in real life.
Yeah, you never saw Fonzie swinging a chain and beating people up. Or...
Yeah, right.
I would go into the malt shop, this place called Henry's. I'd go in there and I'd pound on the jukebox, and it would play. And also when I would come in, people would applaud like they do for Fonzie.
They would applaud? You mean applaud you?
They'd go, here comes the Gorge. And I'd go, how's about it? I got a whole rack of baseball caps in my room from kids I beat with chains.
Uh-huh. Well, that's really something not to be proud of.
Sounds like you got some growing up to do. I mean, you're an old guy. You know,
I'm 63 years cool.
Zachary Brimstead, Timmy Von Tremble, every character's just boom, boom, because every character, any idea we had, we turned into a character.
You should write more of those.
We probably should at some point. But it was just like that initial rush of just like, we're building a world every week.
Yeah.
We still do it, but that initial feeling of like, oh my God, that's what we're doing was just, it was... There was a point where it's like, we're doing really funny stuff on this. And like, I'd put this stuff up against anybody's funny stuff. And I just really felt confident in that.
Your show was replaced by this show.
Yep.
And you, for some reason, stolen. No, not stolen.
Stolen.
No, not stolen. But you, for some reason, have wrapped your head around the insane idea that I have stolen your show, like you just said, and that I'm your enemy now.
Hey, hang on.
Yeah?
Hang on.
Okay.
Hey, y'all, this is your good buddy Ron Bob Ford on WCNT-AM in Pamers Creek, Georgia, right here in the good old U.S. of A. My wife Wilma wanted me to thank all of those who came out to the peach pie eating contest we had over at Gus's feed store yesterday. Little Jimmy Moore sure can put away those pies, can't he? Well, here's one I know you'll love because I've been getting a ton of requests for it all day. It's by that new girl singer from Douglas, Georgia, Sheila Patton. It's called You Don't Know What It's Like to Love a Woman. So where was I? You are such a complete total
no. Oh, I think the shoe's on the other foot right now, my friend.
What?
What was that?
What are some, like, details of these characters that when you think back, you're like, that's very funny?
Barry Dworkin was us just fascinated by people who don't, because the calls, if you look, these are some of the evergreens with the calls. Talentless people is a big part, or under-talented people. Under-talented people who have infinite amounts of hubris and entitlement.
The gas station dogs are in need of a few extremely talented and extremely motivated rock stars to round out the group.
So what, do you have a couple openings in the band still?
Yeah, we're looking for 2 lead guitar players, a bass player, a drummer, and a keyboardist.
2? That's like 5. That's like five musicians, and you said the band was like a 6-piece?
Yeah, I'm the singer, so that makes 6 Einstein.
You can't play any of this for us, can you?
Well, I could sing it for you. Roddy's daddy Denny saved every penny to buy a guitar for Rod. 3 jobs a day, he took all his pay and he went down to Don's pawn shop. Don said, Denny, if you buy this guitar, your son will be a rock and roll star. Roddy tried his best. He couldn't pass the test, but he knew that he would someday.
Roddy's Betty baby, she had a baby that she had with Rod's friend Raj.
One of the funniest things.
Sucking on a jelly donut at the deli.
Yeah.
Betty's baby cries for Raj.
Yeah.
It's just like,
that's Rock and Roll Dreams Will Come Through.
Yeah.
We wrote that song, and I'm sure you probably know this one already. John and I were pitching a TV show, and it didn't go well, and we're in New York, and we're just really bummed out. And we go to the pizza place, St. Mark's Pizza, like on the corner there, St. Mark's and 6th or whatever, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We sit at that place, and we just start talking about this thing, and we just start writing this thing at that out of the defeat of this bad pitch.
Yeah,
we just start writing this song that's making us laugh because it's the most exaggerated version of every kind of like songs where people just like suddenly they become a star, and we're just like, well, what if we wrote one of those songs and we make it so simplistic and so overwritten, too many characters with names that are just like you just the example, you cannot follow it.
Betty's dad Kenny talked to Betty's mom Jenny and said, what can we do? Betty's daddy Kenny, he called back Denny and said Betty and Rod are true. Betty too knows that it's true, that it's gonna come true, that rock and roll dreams will come through, that it will be true, that rock and roll dreams will come through.
But a guy writes this song that has so many moving pieces on it and is so unwieldy.
And it's about the song hitting number one.
It's a song, but the song hits number one immediately.
Yeah.
The other thing, the guy plays guitar for 2 weeks, I think, and then writes this song, and it's number one. Like, he didn't work for it. Like, that's the, like, underneath it. There was no effort for him to have a giant hit. So, yeah, but we would just make each other laugh, and just those things were just the funniest. And I mean, honestly, last week, like, I was talking to John 4 days ago, and we're just like dying laughing on the phone, talking about more characters. Like, we're just, oh, that's a great character. Let's do that as a character. Like, it doesn't stop. As long we need people to stop being annoying for this to stop. So when you guys stop being annoying, the characters will stop.
There's the thing I think I have lifted from Scharpling and Wurster in my own comedy is just the intricate piecing together of the most unsettling phrase. And you're not even like cursing, but just like how Gene Simmons would say, oh, they're practically pawing themselves, or shaking my moneymaker to the greasy funk.
The greasy funk. That one was disgusting.
Just like these, where do they come from?
That was just a byproduct of not being able to curse on WFMU, and it created infinitely funnier stuff. Yeah. Just having to say like pant faucet. Or
pants in general.
Somebody's white walling their hand, which is as disgusting as it gets. It's perfectly fine for the air. Like, that was Reggie Monroe, the guy who got caught pleasuring himself when he was on Survivor. He was on Survivor and got caught in the first day or two in a bush. And then, like, I think he said he was white walling his hand.
It's so
stomach
upsetting.
Pancakes, another disgusting phrase.
My entryway.
Yeah.
I think I had heard the best show. I heard Petey's birthday party, and I was like, what is this, like, Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Yeah.
Like,
and Petey was a kid who would call the show. He was probably 9, I think, when he started calling.
This is Master Shake.
Oh.
It's Master Shake.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't sound so excited.
Master Shake.
I'm calling to wish you Feliz Cumpleaños. On your 8th birthday, you're getting to be a big boy now.
Yeah.
Petey started calling, and I just gave him a platform, and Petey just grew and grew and grew into this, like, regular caller, and people were just, like, thrilling to this weird, ambitiously talented little kid who would just do funny voices and stuff, and people were as into Petey. It's just like, that was just a very early era on The Best Show.
Actually, you know, Tommy.
Yeah.
We made this one punk song I ever recorded.
You recorded a punk song?
It's a punk cover of Elliott Smith.
Let's hear it.
It's pretty sweet. You want to hear it, Tommy?
Sure.
So I can be quiet whenever I want. So leave me alone. Out to the ground, and I'm getting the mind.
I'll circle back to Petey because I want to talk about Petey more. But my first call was the Sjack, Mike Sjack.
Yeah,
his
talentless,
credo.
Yeah, he's the brother of Pat Sajak. Again, a guy who. He was Pat Sajak's older brother.
Always the funniest
part of it. That he talked about his little brother Pat, like his baby brother Pat, and he was a guy who was just mad at life because he wasn't where he was supposed to be.
Weirdly violent.
Yeah, just violent. There was so much violence also in the callers for a good long stretch. I regularly the callers would threaten my life. John's characters, not regular callers.
You ever done, like, real bad, like, meth?
Real bad what?
Crystal meth?
No, I never have.
Well, don't. Let me just... let's just say I did it for you, okay?
Okay.
And basically...
So you did enough for a lot of us.
And stuff, just wasn't thinking right, basically, and thought it would be a good idea to take this softball game hostage.
A softball game, like all the players?
Fans, yeah, vendors. Yours truly was riding high on the CM and just ran out there with them heat basically.
With heat, so you were armed.
Two-fisted.
So you went out with 2 guns.
Yeah, blazing. You're gonna do what I say from now on, okay? I've had about enough of this, okay?
Enough of what?
No, look.
Yeah.
I'll say it. You'll hear it. You'll do it.
I'll get it. You'll learn it. I'll live with it,
and you'll die without it.
The funniest.
It's just such a
yeah.
It doesn't go in any way that you want it to go.
And he wanted me to obey his credo. That's how the world works, and I'm going to explain it to you right now. Yeah.
Soundtrack acapella. Yes. That's right. Acapella Ghostbusters, we are busting ghosts all day. Acapella Ghostbusters, we are busting ghosts all day.
You'd have Matt Walsh, you'd have John Benjamin, you'd have John Glazer, just coming in. Were those a similar collaboration, or was that just kind of like, I'm going to set these guys loose and roll with it?
Like, with that list, I would say it was it was Andy Earles, and it was John Benjamin, and then to a lesser degree, John Glazer would jump on things and do stuff. Sam Cedar would do things, and Matt Walsh they would kind of like jump in on the thing more or less. Like, they would do their own, like, I remember John Glazer doing Hoopstradamus, like a basketball Nostradamus.
You are how old, Hoopstradamus?
38.
38?
Yes.
Well, you sound, I mean, again, and this is not meant to be an insult, you sound older than 38.
Thank you.
It was looser than what we did with me and John. Like, they would be just like, I have a funny idea for a thing, or we'd kick around a thing, but those were more self-starter things than the stuff with me and John.
Sam Cedar started the Majority Report as
the best show.
Why? Why did that happen?
Well, this is an of the time thing. Was that this is probably 2003? Getting access to a radio show was really hard at that point. It was like the rarest thing to be able to get behind a mic and have what you say get broadcast to anybody. You needed a radio station.
Yeah.
You needed all those facilities, and I had access to a radio station. Sam wanted to get into talk radio, doing like left-wing talk. So I was like, you can take an hour of my show. You just do it for an hour. It's I'll give you an hour of my show. He comes down. He gets John Benjamin to come in, who was, I guess, the announcer for the Majority Report for a very, the Majority Report. Like, but he did that live in the room. He's like, with Sam Cedar, the Majority Report. And then Sam did the show for an hour. Janine Garofalo called in as a guest, and some other political person. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, the Fox News guy.
Something like, yeah. And
one of many Fox News anchors that you've had on the best show through its 25 years.
Are there others?
No.
I was like, really? I didn't know if I tripped out. I don't know anymore, Brett. That's how that came about. Sam took that tape and actually got on Air America with that as part of his audition thing. So it was always, I'm always happy. I love Sam. Sam's like a true broadcasting just genius in terms of the stuff he's done for as long as he's done it. And his thing has just grown and grown and grown.
Scharpling.
Yeah.
It's Winesack.
Winesack. Skag Winesack.
That's me.
The detective.
I live on a boat in a marina. I'm not going to tell you where.
You live on a boat in a marina, and you, the other people who live in this marina are also detectives, right?
We're all currently or retired private eyes, yes.
And
there's 187 of us.
Huge part of the early years overlooked Andrew Earles. How did he get involved?
Andrew was somebody I was friends with through the Memphis music scene. He did a fanzine that I liked. He just started calling his characters, and he would work those up. We would talk on the phone, but he would kind of work them up more on his own than not. And he would just call and do characters on the show as well. And there was just a point where I was like, I have all these other people doing things. The thing me and John have is the thing, though. Like, that's the partnership. All these, and so I just told everybody else, it's like, hey, I'm going to stop doing these characters. I really want to just lean into me and John doing it. And it's just because I just didn't want people confusing other callers for John, people confusing John for other callers. I just wanted a clear path because I clearly had a partner in things, and these things were getting in the way a little bit.
When you imagine this Newbridge, well, first, was Newbridge ever a plan, or did it just, all these people are going to be calling from the same town?
It grew into a thing. Like, it was a way to tie everybody together and also to create a fantasy land that did not have to be, because if you say like, hey, it's, if John's calling, it's just like, hey, it's so-and-so from, Wayne, New Jersey. Oh, they don't have that in Wayne, New Jersey. There's not one of those.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's one in Newbridge. Like, and in New Jersey, there's all these towns, Old Bridge, Bridgewater, Woodbridge, a lot of bridge towns. So we're just like Newbridge. And it worked perfectly, and it just became this catch-all that we could do anything we wanted. And then that was like freedom in and of itself too, because now we just have a fantasy land.
As you know, we only elect a mayor every 10 years in Newbridge. If you would all rise for the Newbridge National Anthem.
Newbridge is just where you need it to grow your fantasy dreams.
Barron's Dworkin.
Gene's Genie. Back to school sale, $24.99. Don't handle me.
Get him out of here. Just so we know the format of tonight's debate, I'm going to be asking questions to each of the candidates to get a feel for where they stand on specific issues. We've seen a troubling amount of jobs leave our town for other towns. And what would you recommend as a solution to this problem, Zachary Brimstead?
Geez, I don't know. If you're looking for a job, you might want to go to Eastbridge.
As our mayor, what are the steps you would recommend we take?
That's it? I'm mayor now?
No.
I love it.
No, you're not mayor
Thank you,
yet.
everybody. This was easier than I thought it was going to be.
No, you're not mayor yet. The associate producer of my show, Mike, is here.
Hi, Tom. Glad to be here tonight.
Have you consumed alcohol tonight?
There was a little.
How much is a little?
Well, I got a new tattoo before the show.
Oh, God. What is the tattoo of?
Give me a second. I have to take my shirt off.
Oh, no, please,
Just
please, don't take your shirt off.
So it's not just you in there. You've also got a call screener. Who are some of the call screeners or associate producers?
There have been 3 call screeners on the best show. Dave did it for about a year or so. Then one day Dave was like, I think I'm going to move on. Matt, nice guy, kind of ran its course. There was a guy who lived in Bayonne, worked in Hoboken. Hey, if you want to call screen, be Buster on the Best Show message board.
Ball Buster.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But I asked him to do. I was just like, hey, if you want to do it, and then he came down one week, and he, like Mike has told this before, Mike thought that was it. Like, he did one thing, and I kind of was busy doing the show, so we didn't have a whole lot of interactions. Like, hey, that would, good job. Let me see what else happens. Because at that point, I thought it was going to be a wide. I didn't think like, and this guy's the next guy. Because I didn't know him at that point. But then it's like, no, he does the job. But then after a few months or whatever, then it just like it started. His personality started to come out in little bits here and there. He was not on the air for a long time.
Yeah.
But
you'd chit chat with the other guys, but when did you realize there was something special about Mike?
I would say, well, the first thing was that he had recommended the Werner Herzog movie Strotzek, which is famously a movie he said was funny. And this is Netflix when you were sent a DVD in the mail, and he lent me his Netflix DVD of Strotzek, and I watched this bleak movie that ends in just tragedy of just people being destroyed by America. And I was just like, you thought this was funny? And then that was like the first start of it. And then it just a little bit more, talked a little bit more. And the part, I'm not sure if I said this in the book or out loud or wherever, the thing that Mike did that was so meaningful to me, because it's like I'm doing the show and it's silent. It's completely silent. Like you have to get used to the silence, and you have to like own the silence and then use the silence to your advantage, where it's just like, I generally don't go, like I worked a lot of that stuff out of my system because I hated hearing other people do it. So I just was of the mind that you could just take your time with things, and then suddenly the silence is like a weapon you can use to build tension. But it's quiet. The show's really quiet. It takes a lot of mental preparedness to get to the point where you're like comfortable with that on a full on every week, 3 hours of I'm trying to be funny and I'm laying it out here and I'm just trusting it's funny because you're not hearing laughter. But I would hear through the door, I would just hear like, I would just hear Mike, and I was just like, Mike, that's all I needed. I could cry thinking about it, because it was actually that little honest laughter that he wasn't doing it performatively, but I could just hear him. That's why I always wear one ear off, is so I can hear the room and the building. It's just a thing I picked up because I wanted to be able to hear Mike through, because WFMU is set up. It was a studio, and then there was a door with a ramp going down into the record library, and there was like this little nook around the corner that had the call screening phone. That was Mike screening the calls out there. He's, I mean, you know the setup I'm talking about, right? He was 20 feet away, probably, right? Something like that, with a heavy broadcasting thick door meant to not have sound like bleed onto the air regularly. So his laughter just helped so much. Then I would just know, oh, I'm good. Somebody laughed.
Mike is an interesting guy. I wouldn't say that he's like fascinating, but AP Mike is fascinating.
Well, yeah, he became, like we all become characters on the show. People get the best and worst part of these things, I think, are that you boil people down to characters. That's at least how it's worked for me, and it works on other shows. You listen to other shows, people become characters. It's Baba Booey's a character, but this guy's honestly working hard back in the office and doing his job. He's not there to be a moron. He has an actual producer's job, and he's doing it, and he's clearly doing it great. But when he walks into the studio, now he's Baba Booey. And it's just like, it was I was never going to be mean the way that was a part of the way the Howard Stern experience is. Like, that just wasn't my thing.
I still think we should get the Sibian in here.
I'm going to get it fixed.
For the right guest,
Once I get it fixed. I heard that through the wall. See? I can hear it through the wall.
Uh-huh.
I think I heard a groan. But Mike started just talking on a thing, and he's a funny guy. He's got funny stories. He's a character to a degree in real life, just like everybody's a character. He's a guy in New Jersey that I understand 100%. I have family members that are like Mike. I've had people in my life. It's just like, it's what New Jersey is like. Mike's very New Jersey. You're very New Jersey. I'm very New Jersey in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a certain something that does differentiate New Jersey people. I think it's because you're close to like the cosmopolitan city, the most glorious city on earth in a lot of people's minds.
And it's a magnet.
But
it's sucking all of the culture.
The magnet didn't pull you into it. It pulled you close to it, but you stopped in the suburbs, and you're still living with landscapers and regular people.
Yeah.
And for the people that didn't make the leap into New York, I think you become like a day walker. You're half in, half out. You got all of their strengths and none of their weaknesses, not unlike Blade, who I'm referring to.
Sure.
So Mike is that. We get him, and he's just funny in his way, and he's got just a great eye for just people. When he tells a story, he just has a good detector of funny stuff.
And just there's so much mythology that comes with like the little bits of his personal life that he'd let through.
Yeah.
And he knows what to pick and
what
to lead into.
When we were in Jersey,
he was a superhero for a while.
He was a superhero. I would drive Mike home every Tuesday. Like because I was driving past Bayonne, so Mike would get in the car, we'd drive, we'd talk. Or sometimes we go eat after the show, whatever, and it just was like Mike's life was. I understand Bayonne. I didn't live in Bayonne. It's a little more city-like than where I had lived.
Maybe the most brown city I've ever experienced.
It's pretty brown. That's a good point. It's very.
The bricks are brown.
Yes.
The trees are brown.
Yeah, it is. I never thought about that. I just know who Mike is, and I just admire somebody who makes themselves who they want to be, but on their own terms, and is funny the way he's funny, unapologetically. Not that he has anything to apologize for, but he's just who he knows who he is, and that was enough of there's enough there to make Mike into more of a character on the show, to make him AP Mike, associate producer Mike.
There's also a curation that's happening now that this guy with a certain flavor for big characters is now giving you who you're going to speak to next.
Another thing to his infinite credit is just like he shapes the show and has shaped it in ways that people didn't realize, because he's the gatekeeper on which callers get through. It goes through him. He has a feel for if somebody's being a douche and they're just going to ruin the show. He's the wall separating them from getting on air. And he did a great job with that. he knew when people were the right one to put on the air, when they were the wrong one. And there's callers, he would help cultivate them and make them better. I mean, you are a prime example of that.
We'll get to that.
Okay. But
I've got a list of some callers.
Okay, sure.
And I just want you, in one simple phrase, define, for maybe somebody that doesn't know the entire 25-year history, define who this caller was in the context of the best show. Spike.
FMU, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello, who's this?
Spike.
Ugh, Spike, great. Who is this?
Oh, your favorite caller.
That's funny, because it sounds like Spike.
Hello, Tom.
Oh! Oh, boy. Was it the Joker?
No, it's Spike.
FMU, you're on the air.
Hello, Tom.
Oh! FMU, you're on the air.
Hello, Tom.
Oh, brother. FMU, you're on the air.
Hello, Tom.
Oh, boy.
Spike was a guy who called the show. There's a guy named Spike who he used to call, and I would just take a call and be like, "Where's Debbie?" And then he would hang up. Be like, okay. And that went on for a year and a half.
Every show he'd call.
More or less. Just,
Yeah.
You're on the air. Where's Debbie?
And could you even get an answer out before he hung up
I
on you?
didn't know who Debbie was.
Right,
I
yeah.
couldn't give him a...
Debbie the Dominatrix.
Debbie the Dominatrix. And then it would hang up. And finally, I drew this guy out.
Now, for people who don't know, this is Spike, is a mentally ill man who calls every week.
No, not mentally
And
ill.
we laugh at him. So what's new? Who do you buy presents for?
No, the family.
All right. Your parole officer? What do you get him?
I don't have a parole officer.
Ah. So that's the line you're going to take. And what is your New Year's resolution for 2006? I don't do New Year's resolutions. Okay.
That was a very adequate imitation of me.
Oh, jeepers. Thank you. I'm trying.
You're trying. Very good.
Yes.
This guy started talking and telling me about himself, and he goes by the name of Spike, and he is a fan of doo-wop music and horror movies like Chucky was one of his all-time heroes, I think. And
he has a favorite actor. Who's his favorite actor?
It's this guy, John Wesley Shipp, who is on The Flash.
The Flash?
He was on both Flashes.
Oh, gotcha.
He played The Flash on the old Flash show. Yeah. Now he's like The Flash's dad or something.
That must be very exciting for Spike.
He's like Flash Senior. He likes horror movies, and he hates women. I think it's safe to say he was always weirdly rough on like
had his little
J-Lo.
nicknames.
He hated J-Lo, like I forget
Jenny from the bedroom.
Jenny from the bedroom. He goes, but the thing is, he's
I don't know.
It was like it's like you couldn't even call it like misogyny into where you go, hey, that's offensive, because the things he was saying were so stupid. Mm-hmm. He hated people from Staten Island.
Yeah. Loved doo-wop.
He loved doo-wop, horror movies, and would just pick on female pop stars. Beyonce was Seance. Which it's like, there's not even anything to run with.
He's
in
not
terms
getting
of like,
hired for Mad TV or Mad Magazine.
I couldn't even go like, hey man, don't call her that. That's offensive. It's like, is it? It's dumb and weird.
It's a lateral move, yeah.
It's weird. And he eventually started talking and would call and call, and then it just caught fire. This guy was like...
You got him to talk about a book that he was writing for a year.
He said he was writing this book called Weirdos Exposed. And he would talk about how he's writing this book. I'm writing this book. And I'm writing this book. And I got to write it before I'm elderly. And he would just talk, and he just... And then finally I'm just like, there's no book.
You got
like, Spike, there's no book. And then I said, let's just drop it right. I said, just say, because I was like, can you read something from the book? And like he tried to read, so it was clear there was nothing. And I felt really embarrassed for him because he started to pretend he was reading something, and it felt skin crawling. I was like, and he said, let's say I was like, we'll drop it. We'll never mention it again if you just admit there's no book. And he's like, let's say for the sake of, I forget how he said, that there is no book. And it was like heartbreaking and bizarre. It was just like, yeah, that was something else.
So insanity, Hannity, tomato, whatever.
I can't go any further with you. There's that we have reached the end of the road. Now you want to do the shout out to your parole officer?
And let's not go that far.
Okay. Heave-ho.
About Wally Wacky Man.
Wally Wacky Man is a caller who is a puppet, who is... Jason Wallner has been a friend of mine since 2004. We met through the A Special Thing comedy message board. And I can remember his posts because he was starting to work with Human Giant, which was the...
Rob Hewell, Paul Scheer, the
improv sketch trio. Jason was like the fourth member of it, but he was behind the scenes. He was not on camera. Jason was a child actor. By that point, he had done more on camera than any of those other three guys as a child.
Shiny Time Station,
Weekend at Bernie's. The new episode of Outgrown is an excellent tour through his life as a child actor. If you want to hear him really get into the granular moments of what it's like to be a child actor, I think that's an excellent guide to that.
But not the only performer in the Wallner family.
No. Jason has two brothers. Jason's the oldest of three. Middle brother is Zach. And the youngest brother is Harry.
Z-Man and H-Man.
Z-Man and H-Man. They would call the show also. And Jason was never like a character on the show. It's just Jason. Whenever Jason was a part of the show, it was, hey, Jason's here. He's directing Human Giant. He's directing this. He's doing that. Zach and Harry they became more characters on the show. Like I said, I was looking for a protege at one point, which, what does that mean? So Wally Wacky Man is a puppet that Zach he had designed a while ago and at that point, and finally breaks him out and brings him on the show. Because he wanted to be a puppeteer. He wanted to do puppet stuff. Okay, come on and do it. And Wally kind of became a character in his own right. We just took a break on Wally Wacky Man for a minute to just kind of let it calm down, which inspired me to get my own puppets.
Yeah. Would you like to introduce us?
This is Vance.
Can I speak to Vance?
How's Vance talk? Vance hasn't talked in a while. Vance has talked like this, right?
We've got a bit of a lisp, but
Vance likes prog rock, I remember, was the whole thing, right? Wasn't this Vance like, how's it going? Is that how Vance talked? Yeah. Right? Isn't that Vance?
That's Vance.
I haven't done this in a very long time. So there you go.
Yeah, it was pretty low profile.
Very mellow guy, likes prog rock. Had a roommate that he would talk about. We have Vance's roommate was a guy named Gary the Squirrel who, sorry, Vance.
Now, Tom? Yeah? I told you I had my roomie with me. You said to bring him down, so I brought him down. It's Gary the Squirrel.
There he is over there.
Oh, my good heavens. It's an actual squirrel. It's in the studio. Now, please don't tell me I'm going to do two puppets at once to make this happen.
I guess I am.
What's up, Mike? How's it going?
Hi, Gary.
How are you?
I can't see your face. You're hiding behind the mic.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice. What's that little... Oh, is that a nut you're holding?
Yeah, it's an acorn.
Yeah? Looks like something else.
Drop dead.
And I always loved... Where did they live again?
I can't remember. They lived in Highland Park?
Highland Park, New Jersey.
Highland Park, New Jersey. Yeah.
It's just this.
We went to Jerusalem Pizza, which is this pizza place that I went to once. It's like a kosher
I've been
pizza
there
place that
many
I didn't
times.
like. I didn't think it was good pizza, but I just thought it was funny that Gary was in Highland Park, which is a town next to New Brunswick, New Jersey, as normal, as unremarkable a town as you could ever have.
I spent a lot of time in Highland Park around that time, but it was just very fun.
A lot of basement shows and stuff like that in that area. But then Gary was Vance's roommate, and then Gary, this is a well-constructed original puppet.
Yeah.
This is a puppet from Barnes & Noble.
You Google
Squirrel puppet. You can get your own. But I will say this. I've looked at 50 of them over the years, easily. Trying to find one, they all look wrong. This guy has a specific look that is so funny where he doesn't, like, he's got, like, personality.
Sure. I mean, you're giving him personality.
But it's in the construction. The other ones, honestly, I swear, they are just built a little different. They made one that is this guy, and I bought him, and then he became this breakout character that I...
Give us a little... how would Gary respond to me?
What's up, dude?
Hey, man.
What are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
What? Oh. Yeah, I got a little bored.
It was 5 seconds into the conversation, Gary.
Yeah, it's boring 5 seconds. You're a boring dude.
Well, now I'm feeling bad, so I'm just gonna...
You're boring.
Breeze past the Gary.
Gary hated Mike, but didn't hate Mike. He had a rivalry with Mike. Gary was also a chance to have... like Gary, like ultimately, I'm not trying. I guess I'm just going to go all the way in with this. Like Gary is like your worst fear of trying to be in the entertainment industry. He's a dreamer who goes from thing to thing, and if it doesn't pop immediately, he just goes to the next thing without really trying on the things. He's kind of expects to be famous to, you know what I mean? Like he's not earning his keep with anything. He just wants to be a famous guy. And he just has an agent, and his agent like worked at worked at a Chinese restaurant. He called in the changed to a Chinese restaurant one day, and he'd go out on auditions, and it'd be a waste of time. Like it's everybody's worst nightmare. But he would always be like, "I want this. This is popular. I want that. I'll do my awful version of a Breaking Bad recap podcast." He actually had Bob Odenkirk on his show Breaking Nuts, which was a Breaking Bad recap show. He loved. Do you remember which character on Breaking Bad he loved? Gomi. The other Hank's cop buddy. The weirdest choice. And when Gomi died, he was devastated that Gomi died. But he was clearly trying to get Mike's job. Like Mike was an impediment to getting somewhere, so he would just say Mike sucks and all this stuff.
You recorded a diss track.
Well, Mike recorded a diss track.
That's true, yeah.
Mike recorded a song to the tune of Spooky by Classics 4.
You always keep me guessing. I never know what you are thinking. You call me dumb, say I'm cheap, that my taste in movies is stinking.
I got sent the track a day early.
I get so mad.
So then Gary quickly recorded a hip-hop, like he did like 8 bars, like a feature. Gary did a feature on Mike's song without Mike knowing it. So we played Mike's version, and then Gary came and he's like,
"Hey, Pete, Mike is always giving me a hard time. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm prime time. You say you're going to twist my head till I'm dead. Strong words, text from someone as relevant as Right Said Fred.
Like, AB Mike's giving me a hard time. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm prime time. I remember that was like, I was like, that's a, first of all, he's rhyming time with time.
And then you spit it out. You have a 7-inch.
Oh yeah, then there's literally a 7-inch called Two Sides of the Squirrel. It was Jeff Cannonball.
Jeff Cannonball.
Yeah, and his band. I had to contact Ian Mackay from Minor Threat and Fugazi, owner of Discord Records, to get permission because it was their song, and that was one of the weirder exchanges, talking to the most revered member of hardcore in terms of, it's like the guy who
punk ethos personified.
Thank you. Hey Ian, we met one time. I was wondering if it would be possible for you to grant publishing permission for us to do a song. There's a puppet on the show named Gary the Squirrel who's putting a hardcore single out, and we want to cover Minor Threat, and Gary's going to do it, but we're changing the lyrics. I just need your permission for it. Because the songs were like Squirrel in the Pit. It was like songs about him in the pit. And Ian's just like, yeah, just send us. All I ask is you send a single, copies of the 7-inch for everyone in Minor Threat. Like, that's the deal we make for people we say yes to. Just give us a physical record. Each of us gets a physical copy of it. Okay?
I'm going to burn through some more of these callers. Just give me one quick memory of Officer Tom.
Officer Tom was a police officer in northern New Jersey who listened to Best Show. And he would call in and he would argue with callers. And with this guy, Purple Shirt, he would argue with. I don't know if he's on your list of callers to mention.
Sure, yeah.
There's a guy named Purple Shirt who was like an artist in New York. And the two of them had a rivalry and they'd goof on each other.
Why isn't there more of a cop presence on the Best Show these days?
I don't know. I remember one time Officer Tom he was a cop, and he brought a gun to the studio just to like show. No, but it was honestly, it was like demystifying. It was not loaded. It's a police officer with it in a case. He's not just like waving a gun around. Like, I had never really touched a gun at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm just like seeing it, and he's explaining guns. It was not some glorification of guns and stuff. But I got in trouble for that, for having a police officer with their gun in studio. And
that's great. I bring a gun to the studio all the time.
So do I.
E-cigs for legs guy.
But let me just say.
Sorry.
The Officer Tom, and I'll make this short, he eventually took me to a shooting range in Hoboken because I had never really fired guns. We go to this downstairs thing, shooting range. He's got his guns. It's all, I'm shooting them. I'm just like, not good. And there's one gun, pull back the hammer on it. The hammer goes, twists, pinches my finger in it, and blood is pouring down my hand. At the shooting range, I'm bleeding like a lot. And I have to go up to the counter and go, can I get some paper towels? My finger got caught. And it's like, the guy's like, oh my God. He gives me like paper towels. I had to go to the hospital and get stitches put in before Best Show. This was like the afternoon of a show. So, not my toughest moment.
Maybe a sign you should live a non-violent life.
I think I took some advice from that. Yeah, I took some. I eventually got the hint. E-cigs for legs.
How about Avalanche Bob?
Avalanche Bob, guy named Bob Cribby, I think his name was, would call up and would just he was this old guy in his 80s, I think, talking about the record he was going to make. He was interested in like this kind of like rockabilly yodeling, but singing about snowboarding. Is that what it was?
Yeah. And he'd demonstrate a cappella.
Yeah. And he'd be like, oh. He would call at the beginning of the show. It's clear he didn't listen to the show. You'd hear his TV on in the background. You'd hear like Blue Bloods on the TV in the background. He's obviously not a fan of the show. He's obviously a fan of calling up and being on a radio show. He would call up and talk to me. It was me and this DJ Kid Chris in Cleveland, who he also was friends with, who's a DJ from the 70s. He's like, there's a Bruce Springsteen radio show from 78 where he's talking about Kid Chris. And so it's me and Kid Chris. He would call up, he'd always be, I'm going to do this show, I'm going to do the record, all this stuff. Just guy at the final years of his life. Callers hate it. Listeners either loved him or hated him. As polarizing a caller as there's ever been in the show. We found out he released like a single in the late 50s that was like a known pre-Beatles rock and roll record. And then he passed away, and it was just a sad thing. But it was nice to give this guy a platform because he was an old guy alone, and he was doing the thing. Sometimes he was a little bit much, and I had to try to rein it in. But I really didn't want to be overly mean to this guy, but I didn't want him to also ruin my show because he would have talked until the end of time if I didn't move on.
How about Fredericks?
Fredericks, great caller. I think about Fredericks. I wonder what he's up to. A guy in Newport Richey, Florida, who is just kind of like, what would you say? Has some like Big Lebowski energy a little bit.
Yeah, there's a Florida man.
Yeah, he's tapped into that and all the weirdness that happens down there. I met him at Goner Fest in Memphis one year. Normal guy, as normal as can be. Nice guy, funny guy, had a great laugh, was very enthusiastic. Just a character, a Florida character.
How about Lori from Miami, speaking of Florida?
Lori from Miami was a caller who would listen to the show, and she also drove people nuts because she had a voice that was, some people weren't into. It was just like, the nasally voice, but I liked her as a caller. I thought she has a great voice. And I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm just saying what people said to me about the show. That's all. If I didn't like her, she wouldn't have been on the show. She just wouldn't have got on.
How about Larry DePerve?
Larry DePerve's some guy who would start calling and do these, characters talking about like being this weird PG-rated perv who would just be like, kind of like, raunchy, but not really.
You never get to the perv.
He never gets to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I met the guy who is Larry the Perv. He came on. He was in the studio at least once. That's before we had cameras, so you would just come in and be Larry the Perv, and nobody saw you. Now we'd have to have a Daft Punk helmet on to do the thing, and it would sound weird talking through a helmet. Yeah, Larry, not always my favorite character, just can really grind the show to a halt. He seems to call at the absolute worst times. When I'm not looking for Larry DePerve, he seems to call on those.
It is, Tom. It is. It's Larry.
Wait, is this Larry?
This is Larry DePerve.
Larry DePerve, the infamous.
He's the guy who calls my show.
And I'm sort of flattered that he's watching our show. Larry, welcome. He seems to only address you.
Qualities at all.
How you doing, Larry?
I'm all right there, sitting on a train.
Sitting on a train.
Wow. You should take the lead on this one, I think, right?
Just hang up on him.
You think so?
Seriously. This dude gets enough airtime on my show. I'm not gonna...
Hey, guys, I want to talk about the civil rivalry there.
Okay.
Go ahead,
well, basically, the World Rivalry Day, that implies that it's both the siblings involved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not the case with me and my little stepbrother there. You know, when
Just
when
please hang up. How do you hang up on people?
please hang up
Let's
on
do
him,
it.
someone.
Let's honor Tom Sharpling's request and hang up on this regular caller of his. That was a glimpse into it. That was like a terrifying window into your world.
Because usually when I do the whole show, I have my finger on a button, and I can control that stuff. And suddenly I'm like, this dude can just keep going, and I can't stop him. When you're pacing out a show in your head, you see it going a certain way, and then suddenly presses me, hey there, Tom, Larry. It's like, okay, well, I guess the thing I saw in my head for where we were going for the next half hour, now we just took a detour.
But yet, Larry and Julie had Larry and Lori
had a date, like on-air date. Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
No, it was pretty amazing. They were fun. Everybody was having fun with the show in that way.
What about the Gregulator?
Gregulator is Chris Gethard's older brother, who, funny guy, Greg Gethard, he would be a part of the show, and he was just, he would troll the other regular callers to the show.
He was a heel.
He was a heel. He would play, he was a big wrestling guy, would play the heel.
Julie from Cincinnati.
I like Julie a lot. She would call and be kind of all over the place and funny person, but then kind of I met her. She came out to the studio, was in the studio one time. Nice person. I liked her. And the thing with callers is they come and they go. It's been a part of the show.
About Dave from Knoxville.
Dave was a good guy from Knoxville, Tennessee. He passed away a few years ago. Just sweet, thoughtful, interesting guy. Who's a teacher.
Good caller, yeah.
Good caller, quality caller. Just a solid guy.
Mm-hmm.
Always, when he would call, he had good taste. You could talk to him about things. Just reliable, good caller.
Pat Byrne used to call into the show.
Pat Byrne called. Pat was probably more troublemaking than you would think. If you only know Pat now, this version of Pat, Pat was more of a question mark.
The Star-Ledger reports that Pat Byrne is under criminal investigation. The article also reports that Pat Byrne shits his pants.
Then he
long
is now.
hair, Pat Byrne.
But Pat was like, Pat always had
beard.
Pat had projects going, and you weren't sure if they were real or if he was making fun of you, trying to pretend that he was doing a documentary about walking across what bridge was it? I don't even remember.
I forget. Yeah.
Whatever. He was doing this movie about a long walk home or something like that. And I know they were doing it now. I don't think they ever finished it. But those things, like he would call and talk about these things, and you're kind of just like, is this kid jerking me around? Is he making this stuff up?
Dan and Pat live in Jersey City. They sublet their third room to a talking rainbow from the sky. Rainbow's best friend is a nameless drifter, and they watch baby faces on TV. Dan and Pat fight over their neighbor Shelley's affection, but can't tell her about Rainbow. Rainbow asexually reproduces baby rainbows. They die from not being born in the sky.
I didn't know. But he was like a jerk. I'd meet him at things and be like, oh, okay. Because WFMU had a record fair every year. Mm-hmm. And I had a table at it, and I would just go to it because I love the station. I love record shows anyway. It's the best dealers around the world would come to this thing and get tables at it. But you'd go to it, and you'd meet listeners for the first time. People are coming up saying, hey, I'm so and so. You're like, wow, oh my God, what? Mm-hmm. You're like, I just met this guy, and I'm like, I think this he's not jerking me around. He's a solid guy. And then when we were doing the show after leaving WFMU, Pat had a show called Prove It All Night, which was like a late night talk show setup that he would do in the venue as a part of
Monty Hall. Which was, I was a part of many of those.
Yeah.
That was such a huge production.
And a massive undertaking. Like a real produced live talk show. So Pat would do that. As soon as it was like, okay, we're going to do our own thing now, Pat was one of the people I reached out to just be like, hey, do you want to be involved in helping get this new version of Best Show off the ground? And he did, and yeah.
In your book, you mentioned that the Safdie Brothers would prank call the show.
Yes, they told me after the fact that we used to call, and Josh would argue about basketball with me, and Benny Safdie, who's the actor of the two brothers, would work out characters occasionally on the show,
which I think is, that's not your playpen to go start creating your own characters on your show.
People do it. Whatever. He wants to see how it plays.
I think that's unprofessional.
The character in Good Time, he called and did that character as a caller on the final episode of the WFMU show, and I hung up on him.
I think it's unprofessional.
Oh, there you go. We each have our opinions on that.
Yeah, MC Steinberg.
MC Steinberg would call up young rapper, would call up and rap about things in his life, about things being a goof. I remember that was a phrase he'd use a whole lot. Like, man's in the goof.
Get some decorations from the store. Move the couch to make a dance for. Dressing up the dog. Acting like a goof. Mom's in rehab. Dad's loose. My parents ain't home, so it's time to party.
Dressing up the dog, acting like a goof.
Yeah.
Mom's in rehab and dad's aloof.
Yeah. You're MC Steinberg.
Yeah.
You started calling, you were in high school?
I was in high school.
And you would call up and then...
call from the bathroom because it was the only
good
reception.
Okay.
And then
you call from the bathroom. Landline, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably at that point. Landline, you're calling. You're doing this character. You get hung up on pretty quickly for the first chapter
first was
of
just
things.
Steinberg.
At first, and you'd just be like,
and
nope.
there wasn't really a plan in place.
I'd be just like, nope. But then Mike, you'd call, and Mike would like encourage you, give you pointers, do this, do that, like just really
my Mickey.
He was your Mickey. You're Rocky, and he was your Mickey.
I had written a parody of Aaron Carter's Aaron's Party, Come Get It.
Oh my
coincidentally,
God.
And you were putting me to the test. My first 2-minute call, saying, "What's your point?" And I had that at hand.
Okay,
and I just did that,
and it worked.
And it was this weird guy doing this weird song about a very sad home life, but throwing a party.
Was in studio, did like a rap battle with Ted Leo one time, and
all right, are we ready?
All right. I'm ready.
It starts off right now with MC Steinberg in the rap battle. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Say your heart's in your music, but not anymore. I'm about to rip it out and throw it on the floor. Your selling stuff is bad as a Bailey to your bossy. The pharmacist just quit to join MC Steinberg's posse. My songs are all magic. Yours are just a bore. They wouldn't sell for half up at the dollar store. This is all a cappella. If I did this over beats, you'd hang up the phone and go shaking your sheets. You lost so much momentum in the past 10 years. Your career's running out, and so are your hairs. But you don't face your much. You're an indie cred foo. Have you even been on MTV too? And do you have a ukulele in your toy sack? Because Tiny Tim called you wants his high-pitched voice back. And your songwriting's a joke. You're a talentless brother. Your biggest hit to date was a Kelly Clarkson cover.
Strong start.
I'm just gonna jump right in then.
Okay.
All right. Well, my name is Teddy Leo, but my middle name's Francis. You want a battle, boy? You can't handle this. All dirty Jersey, love for New York, all vegan, vegetarian, never eat pork or chicken. Now, I know you're trying hard, but your rhymes ain't clicking. Late on the beat like your watch ain't ticking. And when I hear you call up the show, it's like you're wasting my time, because Law & Order is on. Now, I tune in to Tom every Tuesday night. Always hear Steinberg looking for a fight. I lurk around the message board looking for news, but all I see is Steinberg doling out the abuse. Now, MC, what was it that made you think you had beef with me? And what was it that made you think that I would turn and flee? And did you think I wouldn't blow up the place when you graffitied your name all over my MySpace? Now you'll bow to my rap, because my rap's the best. MC, Teddy T, and you know I never fest. Maybe New York City might think you're the man, but somehow I doubt you're really all that big in Japan.
Wow. That's round one. That's round one.
Well, I'm kind of partial to the first guy only because the second guy sounded like he was really hyping up New Jersey.
Yeah, he was. He mentioned Jersey. He mentioned Dirty Jersey in there.
Yeah, and I think, as everyone knows, New Jersey's #1 on my S-hit list.
That's right, yes.
When you first met me, were you surprised that I was as young as I was?
A little surprised. Yeah, you were a kid. You were just like a high school kid. I was surprised.
Yeah.
And I think I took you to go see Death Cab for Cutie. Did we go to that?
Yeah. Well,
Right?
you gave me tickets.
Okay.
Death Cab and Franz Ferdinand. I was so honored.
No, I was in the building. I was there too. I don't think we were sitting together though. I remember I've talked about this, going up to SNL and seeing Death Cab was the band, the musical guest on SNL. And I got brought out onto the floor. So I'm like 30 feet away from watching them play Soul Meets Body was the song, I think.
I want to live.
Yeah, that's that.
Where
Wait, Ben here? Is Ben Gibbard here?
Meets Body.
They're playing, and I'm just like watching them, and I'm just like, if I ran on that stage right now, I would be legendary. I'd be Soy Bomb.
You'd be Soy Bomb, yeah.
I could do. All it takes is me to just go do it. Ben was a fan of the show. Talk to him. They're playing. I go see him, and then we're talking, and then he just said, like, partway through, he's like, "You're a nice guy. I thought you might be an asshole, but you're a nice guy. I'm glad you're a nice guy." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a normal guy. I'm just a little bit of a loudmouth on the radio. It's just a heightened version of myself." Ben Gibbard put you on the list.
Yeah, and that was
and I asked him
thrilling
because he was a fan. He was, So
that's thrilling, and it was just like, it started me doing live shows as MC Steinberg. I would do band interviews and started doing things on New York Noise.
Yeah.
Started calling up Jake Fogelness show as MC Steinberg.
Yeah.
I was really trying to squeeze a lot out of
And for
this.
people who don't know, what was MC Steinberg's voice like?
Hi.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
And it was never meant to be like a Jewish thing.
I never took it that way.
Yeah, he was more just, he had a lot of moxie and a lot of heart.
I just took it as you were just a New Jersey guy.
Fast forward a year, and I'm doing like live shows as a rapper.
Yeah.
But I never had planned on it.
That was the best part of the show, was surprises like that.
Yeah.
Or just really, and it still is what makes the show just, you never know how it's going to end when it starts. We can plan it up, down, every which way, and then something will happen and it's a different show.
And, MC Steinberg led to Bobby Blaze, Gentle, and all these characters that I did in other places, but
there's a
I wouldn't be here, surely, but I wouldn't be like anywhere in this realm if it weren't for like a seal of approval, which was a very like gracious
Brett,
thing for like you to do to a teenager that you probably saw being in the same position.
No, I got it. I even though I didn't know you, I knew you because I was all the stuff I just talked about. It's like you want to go somewhere, you want to do something, you don't know where to go, and then maybe there's a thing that like, well, let me just try.
Yeah,
here's a thing I can try. Like one of the things that I didn't mention, Andy Breckman did me 1,000 solids in this life, but one of them was when I was still working at the music store. I'm very frustrated. Feels like I'm never going to get out of the retail thing. I come from generations of people, small business, retail. Family has a t-shirt store. Grandfather ran a fence company and like just doing fencing for, normal people. He had a place in Newark. Other grandfather was a milkman. Like everybody was like working, blue collar working. I was just like, I think I might just be on that trajectory. Nothing's going my way. Andy sent my script to Chris Elliott, who read Flying V. Chris called me, and I talked to him for a half hour on the phone, and I was like, we wrote this, like thinking of you. You inspired a lot of the attitude, and he was just like, I'm just a little too old to play that character now, but it's really funny and you belong. Basically, it gave me confidence that sustained me until I finally got a job. Was that the guy, one of my all-time favorites, read something that I co-wrote and was just like, no, you belong on our side of the street. You're not a pretender.
Yeah.
And it just meant everything. So I know what that feels like.
The show became kind of a fun hang for comedians.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Galifianakis, Patton Oswalt, Mark Maron, Chris Gethard. You could go on and on and on. Like, how was that shift for you? And do you think that's like maybe what contributed to the show really taking off?
Absolutely. That made it a thing. Is that like, we're talking about Zach before pre-hangover Zach, and just people. It was a fun thing to go and goof around and do stuff.
I asked Robert De Niro what he did for a living, like I didn't know who he was, and he was not amused. But he gave me this look, like he gave me that look he does to people. That frown?
Yeah.
He did that.
Yeah. He was on the first episode of this Jimmy Fallon show. It's like, what a great... hey, we're trying to get this show off on the right foot. Here's an idea. Let's get the worst talk show guest in history as our inaugural guest.
Hey, it's Patton Oswalt.
Hey, Patton, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm midway through a show at the 40 Watt in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah. Yay! We're all proud of ourselves.
What I would say, I know. Why would you, Tom? Don't say that in front of a bunch of drunken hipsters. I'm standing right in front of.
Oh, you're the one who's going to get.
I feel like this is one of those movies where I'm talking to the psychopath. You're like, tell him he's a creep, and I'm like, he's right here.
You're the one who's going to get things thrown at you.
I know. Oh, what is this now? Are you going to enjoy this?
No, don't throw things at him, okay?
All right.
Throw nice things at him.
Throw things at him.
All
right. Oh, there's a dude. Okay, I swear to God, Tom, I'm not on the phone with you.
Yeah.
There's a dude in the phone whose name is Matt, and he apparently manages a restaurant called The Grill in Athens.
Yeah.
And he is in the front row, and he's one of those guys. He's so drunk. Hey, he's dead you are. But he is like, but he's really enjoying me. It's that thing where it's like the person, you've been through this, where the person is like, you've seen this at shows, where it's like the person is enjoying the band incorrectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so like everything, the lyrics aren't wrong. See, so it's like everything, did you hear that?
What did he say?
Did you hear any of that?
I could hear him go, raw. Patton's another person who's very important to me. He would talk about the work you have to put in on things, and just there's no shortcuts with stuff. And I knew that already, but hearing somebody else say it was validating to be just like, no, I'm not doing anything wrong just because my thing didn't pop.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mine, and I'm protecting it, and I'm doing it the right way. There's no shortcuts. The shortcut in will also be the fast cut out, I think. You got to just get good at your thing,
Now, Zoe in the back has, are you familiar with the Carolina Reaper chip?
What is this, like some hot potato chip or something?
Yeah, it's like a tortilla chip. It's got the Carolina Reaper sauce. I was going to name
what
some
are you,
names.
hot ones now?
It's just a fun little way to spice up the show. So I'm going to name some people that aren't on the show anymore. If you don't want to talk about it, then you have to eat the Carolina Reaper chip.
No.
Brett
I don't have
Gelman.
to do either of this. Are you serious?
No, I'm not serious.
Oh, my God. Brett Gelman's never been on the show.
He's been on the show.
No, he hasn't.
Paul F. Tompkins.
Well, he's been on the show. I'll go ask him why. I do it every Tuesday. He's welcome to come by. Any of them.
Paul, come on the show.
Paul can come on the show anytime he wants.
Man, I actually did try to get the Carolina Reaper chip, but...
Okay, so you don't even have this thing.
I don't have the chip,
okay.
actually. But it was going to be very funny.
Sure. No, we're not including any of this in the show, please. I don't need this grief.
Ted, Leo.
Look, go ask him. Ask any of them.
Let's talk about stepping away. Because you stepped away from WFMU.
Yes.
What went into that decision?
Years of thinking about it, and the show growing and growing and growing to where it was turning into like a full-time job that I was unable to make any money off, because that's the agreement of being on WFMU. It's a non-commercial station, non-profit station. So it's just built into the agreement. I understood. It was like, pay me. Why aren't you? Like, no, that's the deal you make at this place. I just had some weird show that grew to some bizarre levels that were not like the other shows on the station, because I was bringing in a whole other audience, an audience that wasn't the WFMU audience.
Yeah.
I brought in a ton of people at that station that were not WFMU people. And
you didn't want to get paid.
I didn't want to get paid, but I wanted to. I did want to get paid for my efforts and for my talent, but I was not expecting to get paid by WFMU. So either I had to stop the show, or accept this as the way it is. And eventually, the fundraisers were every March, and they got harder and harder and more ambitious and bigger, and they took months of planning the show, months of manufacturing, collating, whatever the
those.
Premium was.
I felt like I was watching James Brown, like late period James Brown.
When you say late period, what do you mean, like before he died?
Well, yeah, sure.
Sure.
Wherever the peak is of James Brown putting the most energy into a thing. And,
well,
like,
that's very kind of you to say.
Maybe late period was the wrong word.
That's the wrong word. Prime era James Brown. Yeah. It took so much time and so much money. I was putting my own money into certain things.
Yeah.
Like I was losing money on the show because it's a non-profit station, not-for-profit station. I know what I want this thing to be. I have a job in TV, so I have a good job, but I'm putting my own money into the show. And the thing is, sometimes you don't always have that TV job. I've had many years where I didn't, and I would have made more money working like a normal job rather than some entertainment job. It's ups and downs in this line of work. So it was a real commitment, and it was just like things were changing by that point. Podcasting was established.
Yeah. Somehow in that like 12-year span, or it was just like 05, even just 05 to 2013, it was a completely different landscape now.
Yeah. I took a break. There was probably a month and a half. I took a break in 2010, I think. If you look at the thing, I stepped away from the show for a minute because I was just having a very hard time with a lot of things, and the show was one of them. I just needed to get some distance from it. And when I came back, that was what the final chapter of the show, ultimately, in one form or another. So those final 3 years, in my mind, I knew we were closer to the end than the beginning at that point. I didn't know where I was going to go with it, what I was going to do with it. I knew in 2013 that this was it. After I did that when I did the fundraiser in 2012, and it was so hard, I was like, next year's the last one. So I knew in my head solidly one more year of this, and then I'll figure out what it looks like after that.
And to put that into context for people that weren't around for that, I remember that last episode, I went to a bar in Williamsburg, and I listened to the show, amongst other people that were just kind of like somberly like sipping a drink, maybe having very quiet but they were all listening to it. And it wasn't the first time I had been in a bar. I'd been into a place in like Philly where people were listening to your show.
I heard stories of people that final show was December 17th, 2013. I announced I was going to stop. I think there were 7 episodes before the end. So it's like, hey, we're going to do 7 weeks here. And then I'm not going into 2014 doing Best Show. That was the goal. Was just like, end it in 2013. Told the station about it in March, April that year. Told them, hey, this is my last year here. Just telling you in advance. I'm not going to leave anybody in the lurch with it. I was overly responsible with that stuff. And for people who don't know, then it's partly a brag and partly just the reality of the pressure that comes with the accomplishment. Was the show was making a lot of money for the fundraiser. The final year, the show's on a Tuesday night. I'm not putting other shows down because I had one of those shows for many years before this thing morphed into whatever it became. A normal standard show from 9 to midnight on the station on a weeknight would make, $5,000 an episode during a fundraiser, $5,000 in 3 hours, something like that. And the final year, the show made in 2 3-hour things, made $216,000. And I'm just watching that roll by me, and I don't have a job in right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there's real money. That's a ton of money that I don't get a nickel of. So either, like I said, either I need to accept this or I need to change it. And I decided to change it. So.
And yeah, for those you were like bringing in like Patton Oswalt, and I'd see Patton Oswalt, you're getting down to the wire, and he's like, let me just donate $1,000.
Crazy. Yeah. No, people were so generous with it.
Yeah.
And because people believed in it. It was a show that shouldn't have existed in a lot of ways. It wasn't it just grew into this thing that justified its own existence. And we're still doing it here 25 years later. It's just like, it's changed shape over time, and it's, maybe it's not as intense on a weekly basis here because it's a standalone show now. It's a standalone show. It's on a podcast network, Forever Dog, but it's not on this radio station, which is a living thing that also has 70 other shows on the same station with 70 other DJs, 70 personalities, all sharing the airwaves. That's a whole other thing than what things are now. And the marketplace now is just, there's 1 billion podcasts now. There just wasn't when it started. There just wasn't that many. Now everybody has a podcast.
And we have you to thank.
And you're welcome. I'm sorry. I'd like to formally apologize to everybody for any part of this I contributed to podcast culture.
I remember those last 2 weeks. You did a Christmas show, holiday party kind of thing.
December 3rd was a Christmas show party. Had
not the Four Loko Christmas party.
No, not that one. That one was...
What's the origin of that, real quick?
Four Loko is this drink that is poison in a can. The 4 elements are caffeine, alcohol, right? It's
taurine,
alcohol. It's caffeine, taurine, alcohol, and
syrup,
and something else,
grape syrup or something.
And this stuff was getting taken off the marketplace because college kids were dying from it.
Could have been me.
Could have been you. A listener sent me a box of Four Loko. Like people were sending it to me. And so we had a Four Loko party on the air. I drank 2 cans in like an hour and change and blacked out on the air. I fell out of the chair. Thank Christ there was no video at that point. Oh my God.
Turn my mic on, Tommy. Somebody.
I can't even say.
Somebody help Tom out. Somebody help Tommy out. Go
Anyway,
ahead,
Mike, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, John. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Oh. The truth is,
Yes.
Mike, you're a strange person.
I get a bone to pick with you.
I've got a bone to pick with you.
Turn his mic off. Turn his mic off, because I got to say this.
Say it.
And let me just say, Tom.
I have to see Tom. This is history. What I'm seeing tonight.
Yeah,
that's true. You and Tom have never gotten drunk together.
No, we
No,
haven't.
no, this is every week
This is
from
a
now
first.
on, Mike.
This is really okay. All right, I'm game.
The show will never go back to normal.
I'm game.
Tom, you're starting to talk like a...
I'm game. How dare you? What's that?
I didn't do the final hour of the show, and the magical John Hodgman took over for it. The magical part of Four Loko is the caffeine masks how much alcohol you're drinking.
Yeah.
Each can was like 4 cups of coffee and like whatever it was. It's poison.
But yeah, you did this other nicer Christmas
We
party.
did a nicer one, and
I have video of just there was some sort of sing along with Gary.
4 bags of vomit, 3 old stickers, 2 pumpkin lunches, and a slightly used toilet brush. Here we go!
Gary, I think he did to the tune of Feliz Navidad. He did Police, That's the Man. It was about like Police, that's the man. Police, that's the man. Police, that's the man I caught going through my garbage can. Like, it was just like, thinking like Ted Leo and Amy Mann were there and stuff. And December 10th was the party show. December 17th, no guests.
Yeah.
John was there. It was me. It was John. It was Mike. I kept that thing as simple as can be. And I just wanted it to be back to basics. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And did the show, did a long sound collage, wrapped up characters, just did everything. And I said on the show, point blank.
And I remember this. You said, if you work hard and you're kind, great things will
No, that was Conan O'Brien.
Oh, okay.
I said basically that we're not done. I said, I didn't want to announce, I wanted to respect WFMU as much as possible and not turn ending the show on WFMU into a promotion for whatever my next thing was. Let's end this one full on, put the lid on it, let some time pass. I'm going to go away. I didn't do any podcasts after that. I did 0 podcasts for a year.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, people have to miss it. They can't miss you if you don't go away. So it's like, I got to go away. I'm not going to talk. And that final show, I just was like, I think I ended it playing a Tom Waits thing, and I yanked it off, and I played Black Flag instead. It's like, we're not going out with that. It's like we're coming back. I'm not done. Like, this show is done on WFMU. It's done, but I'm not done. I'm be back. And people, I thought I was pretty clear on that, but I clearly wasn't, because people were just like, it's gone. It's like, no, I'll be back. And it took 10, 11 months to build the new setup, and we came back at the end of 2014.
I, for one, think it's great that there's finally a podcast for young people about art.
What's that? About art?
Art, yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, I have no idea what you're talking about.
What? No, you talk about paintings, right? That's what the Times article said.
No. Did you even read the article?
It was a smooth ride back, right?
It was very difficult navigating all these people offering things and trying to bring the show to certain and it just was not. They were just like, there was public radio was interested in it, and I just didn't trust any of it by that point. I didn't trust other podcast networks. I didn't trust public radio. I didn't trust people with these internet schemes, like these rich, like tech people were contacting me, trying to use the show as the platform for their technology.
Yeah.
Just, that's the kiss of death. Like, that would have ended, every one of these things would have ended the show. being on public radio. I wasn't worried about the people who liked the show that were talking to me about it. It would have been their boss who doesn't know what the show is. It's just like, what's this? Like, that's too long. Why is there a puppet talking for too long? I don't like, change this, change that. Make the show an hour long. The worst advice I got was from somebody who ran a podcast network that shall remain nameless, who was like, make the show an hour long. That's what works in podcasting. Hour-long shows work. That's why your show isn't truly breaking through to the upper limits of things. Now you look and Joe Rogan blathers on for 4.5 hours an episode, and everybody can't get enough of it. But that's the advice. I was getting terrible advice. And finally, it's like, I think I just have to do this thing myself. And then it was like, here's how things work out. Very interestingly, you go from Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar gets a show on Air America because I gave him an hour of airtime. He gets that. His producer on that show is a guy named Brendan McDonald, works on Sam's show, also works with Sam to whatever capacity, works with Mark Maron to whatever capacity. One thing leads to another. Brendan is producing WTF. He's been Mark's partner the entire run for that. And Brendan helps me get the best show going because the best show was an influence on Brendan. Brendan said to Mark, look at the way this guy's audience, he's not getting everybody, but the people he gets loves what he's doing. Let's strive for that. And they certainly did. And I mean, I look up at them now from down here in the, it's like the end of John Wick 3. I'm in a cellar here, and they're in the penthouse. No, I'm kidding. I'm being funny. But it's interesting how these things come back. People, be nice to people because you don't know when you're going to cross paths with them again. And Brendan has been as big a help with the show as anybody could have ever been, especially with bringing it back. Just like invaluable. One of the smartest people in terms of knowing podcasting and all that stuff. And that was, I got to influence them to whatever degree, and then they helped me.
And then it was smooth sailing right into
smooth sailing,
brand new show.
Yep. Never a blip.
You got robbed.
Got robbed. Had moved out of a house in Woodbridge, New Jersey, and hadn't sold it yet. Tiny starter house, like really like postage stamp size house. Was like, what if I just use this as the studio? Like, what if I turn this house? It had like a living room, a bedroom, another side room, a kitchen, a small house. But I could turn it into a studio, get all this equipment, bring all the equipment over. Irony of ironies was I brought the security system I bought and put it in the house. And then the house got broken into and the security system was stolen along with all the equipment. And Brendan was the one. Brendan made it to the house 5 minutes before I did. He's like, hey, your front door's open. And I was like, that's not supposed to be. I'm almost there. Hold on. Everything got stolen. So I was back down at the beginning again. That was a temporary setback, but a definite setback.
But thankfully you had someone to help you rebuild. A dude.
Named Jason Dudio Gore.
The dude that built the studio.
The dude who built the studio, Dudio.
While we may have lost Smash Mouth this past Tuesday during a taping of Carpool Karaoke. No, they weren't on the show. They happened to be crossing the road as James Gordon smashed his Range Rover carrying Post Malone into them.
Wouldn't have happened without him.
And he happens to be a comedian, a funny guy.
Yes.
Now you've got this ensemble on the show.
Exactly. It kind of became like a 4-person thing. Jason, Pat, and Mike, 4 horsemen.
You started some spin-off shows. How did Meet My Friends, the Friends come to fruition? Your Friends Recap podcast. With
I thought it was a funny...
Jason and Mike.
Or
not Mike, but...
Yeah, the recap podcasts were so ubiquitous at that point, and they felt like cheating in a lot of ways because people are just it's as simplistic as it gets to just go episode by episode through a thing, and these people were just hitting the jackpot when they did it.
We're actually trying to get the office ladies on the show.
Okay, well, I don't want them on the show because I don't want that.
Angela Kinsey,
I'm okay without Angela Kinsey being on the show. Well, you can stop. You can stop. No, it's just like, look, what I'm not even. It's just like, yeah, maybe people. I think all of them are a little cheap, but especially people with no connection to the thing doing one always felt like just a race. It's like a gold rush to see who can lay claim to a show that they're going to do recaps of, and then these shows were blowing up because the concept is it's so simple, and it's just so I wanted to do a show where I was clearly trying to cash in on one of those and pretending that I wasn't, but I had doing a Friends thing and making it as mundane and meaningless. There was a point where I stopped watching the episodes before I did them. Chandler is trapped in an ATM vestibule with model Jill Goodacre. The rest of the gang hangs out at Monica and Rachel's apartment, and they're lighting candles, and Ross gets attacked by a cat when he's just about to go express his feelings that he has for Rachel to Rachel. And then act like an expert on the show and rank the friends. I didn't care who was ranked. I just like it was the most arbitrary thing on earth. And
but towards the end, you don't really touch on the episode.
No, the show Friends went away in the show.
Please shut up! I will hit you! I will actually physically hit you if you do not shut up and stop talking!
Don't threaten, please.
I don't care!
I didn't say anything. I didn't threaten him in any way.
You're
whatsoever.
Jason, please stop needling him.
You get a little more adventurous with who you book.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few names. Just as quick as possible, could you say how these people wound up on the show?
Andrew Dice Clay. I knew that was the first one. Kevin Corrigan, friend of the show, friend of me. He's a fan of it. He first met him when I was directing a New Pornographers video for the song Moves. And the New Pornographers were being played by, it was their biopic.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Behar, Destroyer, played by Kevin Corrigan, perfect thing. Met him that day.
Famously put a gun into Mike's mouth as he
shooting. And Mike had the Ziggy Stardust, the Aladdin Sane lightning bolt on his face. And yeah, it was, so I met Kevin that way. Kevin, great, love him. Kevin was working on a show called Dice for Showtime. And he's like, you should try to get Dice on the show. We should get Dice. He's in the studio. He's like, why don't we call Dice to see if Dice will call him? So then Andrew Dice Clay, the show's ending. Andrew Dice Clay calls at the end of the show. And now he's on, and I'm talking to Andrew Dice Clay. And he's like, yeah, Kevin, and then he's keeping it like clean. And then finally at one point he just unloads with just filth. Wow. I can't wait.
You look at some chick in the front row, married 25 years. I go, you want another 25 years? In the elevator, you get it to the room. She's sucking on your dick like it's a lifeline as you're dragging it through the living room. Now you get her on the fucking bed, right?
Yeah.
You know, with the heels coming off the floor a little, with that big fat bumper sticking up in the air. Now you get a missionary style. Now you maybe boomerang fuck her a little bit. One leg up, belly full of milk.
Sure.
Lights out.
Yep. That's a story of my life.
All right. Lights out.
And there he goes. He hung up. As maybe that is the final. This is the final episode of the show. First of all, I will say.
He had some big swings, did an Adult Swim special.
Welcome to We're Newbridge, we're coming to get ya. Your guide to everything there is to know about the greatest little town in America.
Mayor Leopold Kern panicked and surrendered to a German Kaiser who had no knowledge of Newbridge's existence.
It is with great sorrow that Newbridge tenders these absolute and unequivocal articles of surrender to the mighty Kaiser of the great city of Germany. We bow before you, our superior Aryan masters.
But Newbridge made up for its cowardice during World War II by becoming the nation's sole producer of toilet seats during the war effort.
Newbridge blows. I don't like nothing about this town except for the fact that I can buy the really awful, dirty filth that they don't sell down in Philly. Check out what I got today. Oh, what kind of perversions am I into this week?
Yeah, John and I did a thing for Adult Swim where we did one of the infomercials that they were airing late night, like 4 a.m, and we did one of them, and we kind of brought some Newbridge characters to life.
Mufflers and toilet seats made this place what it is. Pebble trash cans help us to live. Our SWAT team is fierce, it's the best in town. Criminals know not to horse around. Go, you mighty red races, go. Nothing can stop you from killing your foe. Everybody run, everybody hide. There's no use in either, cause you're all gonna die. Because we're Newbridge, we're coming to get ya. We're Newbridge, we're back and we're proud. We're Newbridge, we're singing this at ya. We're Newbridge, we're singing it loud.
You've always been a big music collector, so you've got a box set of the best show.
Yeah.
I was putting that together, like being on the other side of that. Like
one of the hardest things that I was ever involved in was putting that thing together. It was basically like writing a book, editing 16 CDs of audio, editing. I did so much editing on those clips to get them tight, clean. Sourcing audio was so hard, figuring out what was going to go on the thing, figuring out track listing and flow of it. And John was, obviously we did it together, but he was on tour, so I was doing a line share of the audio editing and stuff. And I mean, I remember going to Goner Fest in September of whatever year that would have been, and seeing a band, going out to my car, editing, and then getting a text saying like the next band's on, and then going in and watching the next band. That's how much editing I was doing. I was editing round the clock all the time. Just didn't stop.
This is currently, this is as of today on his Wikipedia page, that Gene Simmons is an investor in Gene Simmons Toyota in Newbridge, New Jersey.
Oh my God.
From 10 years back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that the real feather in your cap when you get on someone's Wikipedia page?
We've done the show for free for 13 years.
Yeah.
We flushed thousands of hours of our lives down the toilet. The creative shank of our lives was thrown away for no money. So that is payment for all of that. I guess the first thing I did with Forever Dog, there was this young upstart who had a podcast on the Forever Dog Network named Brett Davis.
I signed a contract.
With who?
Forever Dog.
What is that? Doing the podcast for laundry, which I was on the first episode.
First, 100th, and last.
Last, yeah.
And last we recorded in the
parking garage during the pandemic. Yes.
Because it was the only safe place.
Yeah, everybody had to stay distanced at that point. So that was the first thing I did. I met with Joe and Brett at one point, kind of during that transitional period, maybe a part of the, not literally, probably met with them in 2018, something like 2017, something like that. They were more looking for something new, so Julie Klausner and I started Double Threat, which made perfect sense. Forever Dog started on day one with that, and it was under their umbrella, which created a good work relationship with Forever Dog. I went in on this studio as a tenant when they got this place and was using the equipment, just renting it, and then doing a 24-hour show.
Come on in, it's going down tonight. Do you want to call? Do you think you might? And if you listen, you want to know that it's time for the tone, that it's time for the best show.
And everybody was so dedicated to them for that first 24-hour show then Forever Dog was just like, what if we just go all the way with this relationship? I was like, yeah, let's do it. Makes perfect sense. To get to this point, there were so many people who were there helping keep the thing up, afloat, alive to get to where we're at this point now. It's not a solo act. It never was. I mean, it's just like I'm the one who hosts the thing, but it's been a multi-person team effort for the entire run of whether it was people at WFMU helping, whether it was Jason and Pat and Mike getting the Jersey City part of things, whether it was Brett and Joe for Forever Dog helping me rent a place when I first moved out here. Pandemic kind of killed that. They helped me with equipment through that. Then we got this place and I just signed on properly with Forever Dog. And Brett Davis, invaluable. The show in its current iteration would not be as great and fun as it is if you were not doing what you do for it. And I'm all kidding aside, I'm incredibly grateful for it, but it's totally true.
I owe the show a life's debt because I wouldn't be here without it. And I am not in this position because I like to produce podcasts whatsoever. It's because I just love the best show and I want the best for it. And
I'll never be able to thank you, but I will try. And Zoe, you like to hide. You like to skulk. You are fantastic and you bring so much energy, the right kind of energy to the show every week, and I am very grateful for it. So thank you, Zoe.
AP Zoe.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Mike, Jason, Pat, they know it. And Andrew and Wes hold the tech side down. We have bands playing the show, and it sounds better than... I defy anybody to have a better sounding end product than what we have when we have a band come in and play. They're like
we got
wizards.
some big ones coming up too.
Yeah, there's some really good ones coming up, so get ready for that.
Well, I can't thank you enough. The show has literally changed my life in many ways.
Here we go. This is round 3.
What?
Years ago, my heart was set to live. I've been trying so hard against unbelievable odds. Yet so hard in times like now to hold on. With guns they were to be stuck by, and at my side is God. And there ain't no one gonna turn me around. Ain't no one gonna turn me around. There's people there who tell you that they know places they shouldn't take you, and it's easy to go. They'll pick you out and dress you up and stand you in a row, but you know you don't have to. You could just say no. And there ain't no one gonna turn me around. There ain't no one gonna turn me around. Been built up and trusted, broke down and busted. But they'll get theirs and we'll get ours someday if we just hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Years from now my heart was set to live. Oh, and I've been trying hard against strong odds. Get so hard in times like now to hold on, but I'll fall if I don't fight, and at my side is God. And there ain't no one gonna turn me round. There ain't no one gonna turn me round. Ain't no one gonna turn me round. There ain't no one gonna turn me round. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah! Sorry, it had to be done. I know it was cheating.
That was awesome.
You know what? I'm going to say something.
What's that?
I was just served a piece of humble pie.
The entire run of The Best Show is making its way to Patreon. So any episode you heard about and you were curious, it's going to be a very quick and easy way to find the episode.
When we come back, it's Best Show 25, and it will not go unrecognized.
Yeah. Strap in. Put your helmet on. Because that worked.
So there's going to be things.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. It already is amazing. It's going to be even better. Now I sound like Donald Trump. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for watching. And I hope you've enjoyed this retrospective. I know I did.
I did too.
We went to the Chamonix Mall and laughed at all the shoppers, and security guards trailed us to a record store. We asked for Kurt Vile. They said he don't work here. They said if you don't know Kurt Vile, you're in our hate file. I said how much you pay for this and nothing, man. It's stolen from Rocker. Don't even really grow, just you and me. Just you and me. Fucking traveling all the world. I'm in punk rocker. Look at Milkman. To fly pine, who don't like it? AP Mike! Dudio! Byrne! Justin!